Why, hello! Today we're going to be talking about a very fascinating week at the box office. Grayson talks box office for Birds of Prey, Sonic the Hedgehog, and The Call of the Wild. Okay, so we actually have a lot of cool stuff to talk about today, but while we're all looking at the overall box office, I'm going to take a look at the individuals ones first because I know there's a pocket of fans out there that are super frustrated and upset that the Birds of Prey is what it is. But I do understand why people are upset with Birds of Prey because they feel, and it's true, that Birds of Prey cost us just as much to make Sonic the Hedgehog, and it opened bigger than Sonic the Hedgehog. It cost less for it to make than to make The Call of the Wild, and it opened bigger than both of those movies, yet it's branded a huge flop. But with this one, it's all about expectations. And with expectations, it's also what's driving like the conversation and like how much some movie like defied or failed expectations. And Birds of Prey, it's a really sexy headline just because it was such a huge flop. So, yes, Birds of Prey is a victim of its expectations. And I know that the director and the producer, Margot Robbie, tried to say that it's a girl power, girl gang indie film, but the reality is it's a part of a big DC franchise starring a character with a huge IP. So Hollywood naturally expected for this movie to hit the box office on par with similar movies like Deadpool, Logan, and Joker. And like Deadpool, Logan, and Joker, since it is an R-rated superhero movie, Hollywood also thought it had a built-in audience, and so they thought this movie was too big to lose. And that's what Hollywood does. They look at a certain type of movie and they keep on looking at other movies in that same category and see how much money they made, so they expect to see that same movie make money. And when it flops so horribly bad, they start blaming it on somebody because they're like, how did that happen? And they're going through everyone associated with that movie to see whose fault was it. The only person that is probably safe from this is Margot Robbie because she's an Oscar nominated actress, so she's probably going to be working forever with a few exceptions. But everyone else associated with the movie, including the cast, is in hot water. And how Birds of Prey's box office is tracking, it might not even hit the $100 million mark domestically, which is shocking, truly shocking, especially for a comic book movie. So yeah, this is truly shocking and like very sad because Birds of Prey, all it needs to do is hit $300 million worldwide to break even. That's all it needs to do, but it seems like by the end of its run, it will only make to like in the low 200 million. And that's why it's gaining so much traction and so many headlines because it's shocking. It is really shocking, especially for a superhero movie. And again, it's all about expectations. Now let's get to Sonic. Yeah, it's like worldwide box office isn't good, but that's just because Japan and China aren't able to see the movie and will never be able to see it until probably the end of the year or maybe next year because it's on quarantine during like the coronavirus outbreak. But don't worry, I think Sonic will do quite well in the ancillary market in China and Japan. And with Sonic, while Birds of Prey failed to live up to expectations, Sonic the Hedgehog completely defied expectations for a number of reasons. Because Sonic the Hedgehog is is just a box office hit and it's already breaking records being the number one highest grossing video game movie of all time and having one of the biggest video game movie openings of all time. And the reason this movie is a box office hit is one of the reasons is because it did a lot of extensive reshoots that made the movie better. And with those well-needed reshoots, it was able to get a good RT score with a 63%, which is certified fresh, and an A plus, well, not an A plus, but an A cinema score. And it also did good by moving its release date down to Valentine's Day, which is a good release date to bring your entire family, including kids, to go watch a pretty fun and just an interesting movie. The same can be said about The Call of the Wild, who also benefited from opening like Valentine's Day weekend or around Valentine's Day weekend and having a good RT score and an A minus cinema score. But that was last week's box office, and now this week is coming in, and a new movie is rolling in, and it's just one, and that's The Invisible Man, which is supposed to rake in a lot of cash for a very great reason, and that's because it's now like critically acclaimed, and it only has a $7 million budget. So that was last week's box office. What do you think? Share your thoughts down below, and don't forget to subscribe to Grayson Talks Everything.